It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by Ollie Knights of Turin Breaks. Ollie, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Ollie, you have been doing so much with Turin Breaks all over the years. Obviously, your back catalogue and everything you've been doing is just unbelievable. You're going out and doing an acoustic tour in a month or so's time, and you're coming to Portsmouth on Friday, the 14th of March. Why another acoustic tour? Because I know you did one around 4 or 5 years ago. So what made you want to do another one?
Um, I'll be completely honest with you. We really, really, really like them. We really like playing like that. And we did the first one we did. It was just sort of before COVID, I think. In fact, I think it just got slightly curtailed because of COVID. Like the last three shows or
Right.
something had. But what we found was it was oh man, it was just so delightful. It was a bit of an experiment at the time, but we just wanted to do something that kind of got the songs stripped right back to their real essence, and see if that would work as well as the way we often do it, which is much more of a kind of traditional rock and roll sort of show, and people just seem to love it. And we're all in a line, and there's a lot of talking. There's much less of a sort of that invisible barrier feeling between you and the audience, and it just really seemed to work for our music and for our personalities. So we've been kind of chomping at the bit to kind of do it again, really. And this time there's new material. We've reworked the set. It's kind of it's changed quite a bit since that first time, and we're going to bring Johnny Bramwell from I Am Clue with us, and it should be great. I think.
I have to say that I really like the acoustic shows. Obviously, it's the thing is, it's very you do so many different types of shows, do you? Obviously, you do a lot of festivals, and I think with the festivals, it's a case of you play your biggest hits, you bash them out as quick as you can, you get as many in your 45-minute set as you can, and then you're off and you're gone. With your tours, obviously your tours, you plan probably more of the newer stuff than a few of the old hits. It's your fans there, so that's good. But with the acoustic shows, you get to slow down a little bit. You get to talk about how the tracks came about. If there's a story behind the song, you get to talk. And I really like that. I've seen a few, and I have to say, from a personal point of view, really like hearing those behind the scenes knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a different effect, doesn't it? I'm the same. Like if I went to see I went to see Laura Marling with my daughter about a month or 2 months ago, and it was kind of similar setup to our acoustic shows, and it was just so lovely to be able to
Mm,
sit down. If
mm.
you're a fan of the band and a fan of the music, it that you just get so much closer to the core of it somehow. And it's kind of a challenge as well for the band. We've been going 25 years, and you get very good at doing a particular thing and a particular show. And if you're not careful, it can become a little bit too much of almost like a repeating theatre piece. And you want to you really want to have a musical experience where it's like, oh, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but
Almost like
that
why you got in it in the first place.
yeah, exactly that. And you have to always find new ways of getting yourself to do that, because being creative in the moment is kind of delightful for you and the audience when it's really going. So it gives you, I think it gave us anyway, much more of an opportunity to do that. And so these shows feel really like they're really happening in the moment somehow, which is lovely.
Just to break from Turing breaks, ironic pun, which I didn't intend there. Break from Turing breaks for just a second. Here on Express FM, we have a local music list, which is all artists from the Portsmouth and surrounding areas. And now I understand that you are partially responsible for one of my favourite tunes on our local list, which is Fast Trains and Minstrels Gallery.
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had a lovely time working on that. I got to mix that track because I do a bit of sort of production-y stuff as well sometimes. And so I mixed it and I sang on it as well for Fast Trains. They didn't actually ask me to sing on it. I just cheekily threw in some harmonies that I could kind of hear in my head. I kept hearing them in my head, and I thought I'm just gonna throw these in and see what they say. and they were luckily they were really into it. So yeah, I got to know that song really, really well. It's been through my whole studio, my ears, and all my ideas of kind of um that helped filter that song to what it was, and I was really proud of it. I thought they did a brilliant job, and they're a really great band, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I say, it's one of my favorites. I think it's been on our playlist for maybe 3 months or something like that, and every couple of days it pops up, and I always enjoy hearing it. It's a great track.
Brilliant. That's good to hear.
Um, Now I know that this is a bit of a daft question, but I am going to ask it anyway. Is there a secret to the longevity in the music industry? Because it's been 24 years since your debut album. That I know in itself is scary, but especially in this day and age, it's all about shining very brightly for a very short amount of time, rather than keeping going for years and years and years. It's the TikTok world that we live in, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we're really aware of that. We often feel, almost not exactly sorry, but kind of concerned for like bands who we recognize as ourselves 25 years ago, who are like we were 25 years ago, or acts that seem similar. We look at them and think, my God, that is one fast, noisy world that they are trying to break into. And not to say that it wasn't fast and noisy when we started, but it's definitely faster and a lot louder than it was. So I think going for 25 years, it takes a bit of a mindset shift. I mean, luckily for us, we have great chemistry in our band. We genuinely love what we do, and I do think everyone in the band feels more than anything, they feel that they are a sort of artist. They want to create music, whatever it is. So we're all driven in that way anyway. Obviously, a little bit of decent success at the beginning helped massively because it grew our audience and gave us an audience. But then that audience will go away if you don't kind of keep finding ways to hopefully delight them, And so we've worked really hard. We always turn up. We always do the shows. And we've just had a strong work ethic, as well as that thing of always making sure you're working on the next record. There's always new music. We
Mm.
never to be just a nostalgia act. It's fine for there to be a bit of nostalgia. It's inevitable, but the eyes are on the prize. That it's always slightly ahead of us, and I think that attitude has helped us a hell of a lot.
It's very strange, isn't it? When you look at again with our local artists, I deal with a lot of up and coming bands, and it's very strange. So I'm 43, and I've seen from the 90s and the noughties, and then of course the introduction of the internet and everything else like that. So I've seen it all change over the years. And when I have young bands come in now who are like 20, 21 years old, and we talk about a release schedule, and they're like, no, we have to release a song once a month. And I'm like, but like I just said about Fast Trains, that's been on our playlist for 3 months. And it's weird that just as we feel like we're getting into a track and it's really doing well, and then the next one comes along, and you don't really get
Yeah.
to fully absorb that.
Yeah, totally. It's I guess it's the kind of flux between, traditional forms of media and kind of the new sort of online media where it's much more like the Wild West, isn't it?
Mm.
And the two worlds don't necessarily sync up. It's an interesting time. There's no doubt. It's a very interesting time. But man, you really have to have some self-belief and some drive to survive in that environment now, I think. And the people that are doing it and keep turning up, I applaud them because there must be days when you think, how am I going to get above above the waterline here? Because it's just so crowded and so noisy. And there's not a day that goes by that we Turin Breaks the band don't sit there and kind of think we are so lucky that
Mm.
with our timing that we came up through the end of the, well, obviously the very end of the 90s into the turn of the 2000s, where there was still a bit of just enough space to get noticed if you what you were doing was good,
Yeah.
and now it feels a bit like even if you're really good, is that enough to get noticed? Because there's a lot of good stuff out there, but boy, it's hard to break through.
Is the modern way of looking at things. I was reading an article the other day about how songs are getting shorter. And now the average time for a song is somewhere between 2 and 2.5 minutes. And in fact, some US rappers or whatever are doing songs that are literally like 1 minute and 38 because they are literally being made for TikTok and Instagram and
Yeah.
Reels and bits and pieces. Like, is stuff like that, does that even enter your conscience? Do you think about that, or is it just a case of no, we're going to make our music, and if something gets picked up, it gets picked up?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely we talk about it a lot. We talk because we're amazed as well. Just like it's like we've heard we know people that started off um just making choruses. So they'll make a 30-second long chorus.
Yeah.
It gets they'll make a video for it that's 30 seconds long. No longer do you make the 3.5 minute long videos. You make a 30-second song with a 30-second video. That goes onto the internet, that goes onto social media. And if it goes a bit viral, if it gets a bit picked up on, you might be you might be able to make the other 2.5 minutes. You know, that's where we're at, which is crazy. But for us as a band, like as artistically, we grew up listening to pop songs with pop sensibility, but they were sort of their own thing, and they were tended to be between 3 and 5 minutes long, anywhere in there. And so that's naturally what we do. We always want to kind of bring out our sort of favorite artists from those times within our own music. And so I think for us it's very natural to still be writing in a somewhat traditional way. But yeah, it's not to say that the 30-second sort of ideas aren't exciting and good. They're amazing. But as you say, it's so fast. Is there even time to break through into that deeper level of listening,
No,
that deeper level of
no.
appreciation? Exactly. It's very hard. Whereas me and you are similar age. We come from a time where we were probably still listening to records on cassette when we were really young.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you really had to live with that stuff. You had to live with those tracks that weren't immediately your favorite. But then the magic is when, 3, 4, 5 months down the line, suddenly that tune that you didn't think you liked and you used to fast forward through on your cassette Walkman, it just hits you like a ton of bricks. And where's that gone? Is there space for that? It's difficult to say, isn't it? It's maybe the space for that has diminished to, almost disappeared.
I think in 2025 we are very unlikely to get another Bohemian Rhapsody or anything else like that. I think unfortunately at the moment that's gone. Maybe one day it will come back, but at the moment I think it's gone. I read, began recording your latest and I believe 10th album last year. Is that correct? Yeah. When
Yeah.
when are we likely to hear what you've been working on?
I believe we're going to put it out in May, so I'd think we'll get a single out before then. I would like to think so. Not far now, couple of months. Hopefully, it'll that things will start turning up. And you can see four rather old men trying to survive in this very fast social media landscape, which is usually somewhat hilarious, I find.
I love that. I love that. When did it when did it happen? When did we get to that age, eh?
No, it's weird, isn't it? It just creeps in. It creeps in. But you're as young as you feel, as they say. So we're all still inside. We're exactly the same as we were when we put out that very first song. We feel very similar as humans, and I think that's probably all that really matters in the end.
100%. Ollie, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. One last time, Turin breaks are going to be at the New Theatre Royal on Friday, the 14th of March.